Your thoughts might be lying to you, keeping you anxious and stuck. Here's the truth. It's not life's events that control you. It's how you interpret them. But what if you could take back control and rewire your brain for emotional freedom? Stick around, and I'll show you how to break free from these mental traps. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and hit the notification bell for more insights on mastering your mind. Origin of negative emotions. Negative emotions often seem to spring out of nowhere, right? But here's the catch. They don't come from the events themselves. They arise from how we interpret those events. Imagine spilling coffee on your shirt during a meeting. Some might shrug it off with a laugh, while others feel embarrassed for hours. The coffee spill is neutral. The emotions? They're born from your personal narrative about the situation. Our brains love shortcuts, so interpretations are often automatic and rooted in past experiences. For example, someone who was criticized often as a child might assume others are judging them harshly when, in reality, no one even noticed the stain. This mental filter creates emotions that feel real but may not align with reality. Neuroscience highlights how these thought-emotion patterns are etched into our brains over time. Curious about how this plays out in everyday life? Think about your response to a friend canceling plans last minute. Do you feel rejected or simply think, life happens? That emotional reaction comes from your beliefs, not their action. And here's the exciting part. Once you recognize this, you're already taking the first step toward emotional self-awareness. Automatic negative thoughts, ANTs. Automatic negative thoughts, or ANTs, are those sneaky little thoughts that pop into your head without warning. They're fast, repetitive, and often wrong, like an uninvited guest at a party. For instance, you might think, I'm terrible at my job, after a small mistake. These thoughts feed into a cycle of anxiety, making you feel stuck in a mental loop where worry breeds more worry. The impact of ANTs can be subtle but profound. Imagine someone assuming their partner is upset just because they received a short text. That assumption leads to anxiety, which might trigger a defensive response, creating tension where none existed. Neuroscience shows that these patterns strengthen neural pathways, making it easier for such thoughts to reappear. Breaking this cycle requires recognizing and challenging these thoughts. A classic example is the all-or-nothing mindset. I failed this task, so I'll never succeed at anything. Sounds familiar? It's like your brain playing a dramatic movie. Instead, what if you question the thought, is this always true? What evidence do I have? Just pausing to ask this can disrupt the cycle and help you regain control. Neuroscience and mental health. Here's a fascinating fact. Your brain isn't set in stone. Thanks to neuroplasticity, it has the incredible ability to rewire itself based on how you think, feel, and act. Imagine your brain as a garden where thoughts are seeds. Positive, intentional thinking waters the healthy plants, while negative patterns feed the weeds. The choice of what flourishes lies in your hands, or rather your mind. For example, let's say someone often thinks, I'm not good enough. Over time, this thought creates a well-worn path in the brain, making it the default response to challenges. But the good news? You can pave new paths. By consciously practicing self-affirming thoughts like, I'm learning and improving, you start building alternative routes, weakening the old ones. It's all about repetition and patience. This adaptability also extends to emotional resilience and habit change. People recovering from trauma often use this concept to rebuild a sense of safety and purpose. Think of it as mental reprogramming, rewriting the script your mind uses to navigate life. The key? Awareness of what's not serving you and the commitment to rewrite those patterns step by step. Practical examples of negative thoughts. Negative thoughts often show up in ways we don't even notice, subtly shaping our emotions and actions. Take Lisa, for instance, who feels uneasy when her boss sends a vague email. Her immediate thought is, I must have done something wrong. This assumption fuels her anxiety, though the email might just be about scheduling. Such thoughts highlight how our interpretations create unnecessary emotional stress. In another scenario, Mark avoids trying new hobbies because he thinks, "I'll just embarrass myself." This belief keeps him stuck, missing out on enriching experiences. What's fascinating is that this pattern isn't unique to Mark. Many people let automatic thoughts dictate their lives. Recognizing these recurring thoughts is the first step toward change. And here's a daily life kicker. Sarah looks in the mirror and thinks, "I'm not attractive enough," affecting her confidence. But when she paused and asked herself, "Says who?" she realized the thought wasn't rooted in fact, but in a fear of judgment. Challenging such thoughts creates room for growth, opening doors to emotional resilience and self-awareness. Challenges imposed by automatic thoughts. Automatic thoughts, though subtle, can have a powerful grip on our mental health, often leading to anxiety and depression. Imagine feeling your heart race after assuming, "They didn't reply because they're angry at me." These unverified beliefs trigger emotional spirals, making minor situations feel like insurmountable problems. Over time, this takes a toll on emotional resilience. These thoughts also fuel exaggerated emotional responses. For example, a small critique at work can feel like a personal attack if your inner dialogue whispers, "I'll never be good enough." Neuroscience shows that repeated exposure to such patterns strengthens the brain's negative pathways, making it harder to think differently without intervention. The challenge lies in how automatic these thoughts are. They seem to bypass logic. Picture a friend who often says, "I don't belong anywhere," and stops attending social events. It's not the lack of belonging, but the belief itself that isolates them. Recognizing this cycle is essential, setting the stage for strategies to break free from its hold. Techniques to combat negative thoughts. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is a game changer when it comes to combating negative thoughts. It's like being a detective of your own mind, identifying distortions and replacing them with balanced alternatives. For instance, if you think, "I'll fail at this presentation," CBT encourages you to ask, "What evidence do I have for this? What's the worst that could happen?" This shift can dramatically change how you approach challenges. Acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, takes a different route. Instead of arguing with your thoughts, it teaches you to simply notice them, like clouds passing in the sky. Let's say you think, "I'm not good enough." ACT suggests acknowledging the thought without judgment and redirecting your focus to what truly matters, like your values or goals. It's about letting thoughts coexist without letting them rule you. Practical exercises amplify the effectiveness of these techniques. One activity is the thought record, where you write down negative thoughts, evidence for and against them, and a more realistic alternative. This habit, practiced daily, retrains your brain to approach situations with clarity and emotional resilience. And it's easier than you think. Start with just one thought a day. Recommended practices. To tackle negative thoughts, self-awareness exercises are a great starting point. One effective method is the thought journal, where you jot down recurring thoughts and how they make you feel. Over time, patterns emerge, helping you pinpoint triggers and address them. For example, noticing that every Monday feels overwhelming could lead to better planning or a shift in perspective about the start of the week. Another powerful practice is reframing. Imagine catching yourself thinking, "I always mess things up." Instead of accepting it, challenge it. What did I learn from this mistake? This shift doesn't just boost emotional health. It builds emotional resilience and rewires your brain through neuroplasticity. With repetition, these reframed thoughts become your default mindset. Daily mindfulness practices also enhance emotional intelligence. Try a simple exercise like spending 5 minutes each morning observing your breath and letting thoughts come and go without attachment. This strengthens your ability to manage emotions and break free from negative thought cycles. It's like building mental muscle. Small, consistent efforts lead to lasting growth. What will you do with this knowledge? Will you keep letting automatic thoughts control you, or start challenging them today. Imagine the freedom of a mind rooted in resilience and growth. Try journaling or practicing mindfulness. It's a small step with a big impact. Share your thoughts or questions in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. There's so much more to discover together.